welcome to the No More Bohica podcast number 2. I'm sitting here today with Ramsey Abed, the Angry Muslim, and joining us by phone is Pete, the Poobah Capoletti, who's fishing for answers in Forest Lake, Minnesota, and Bruce isn't with us today. He's up there in Yahe Dairyland doing some fishing, and north of Poobah, actually. And then I'm Biddy, Gary C. Klobitsky Jr., author of Biddy Code, Together We Stand, Divided We Fall, and your host here for the No More Bohica podcast. So today we've got a lot to talk about. We got a nice email from one of our fans, and but first I'd like to do a public service message about an internet scam. Last summer I almost got scammed. I clicked on something on Facebook. It looked like a regular button, but it wasn't. And next thing I know, I had this message up on my screen from Microsoft telling me that I'd been infected and I had to call them immediately. So I did. And I can tell you that these people are extremely convincing. The message on my screen looked like it was legitimate from Microsoft. The people on the phone were very convincing. And they almost convinced me to pull like $3,000 out of savings and buy Bitcoin to show that my account hadn't been compromised. And they were real close. The two things that maybe catch the scam basically were the buying Bitcoin with my savings. Number one, that sounded kind of odd. And number two, they told me that my bank had been compromised and that there's somebody at the bank we couldn't trust. Now, for most people that might be kind of scary, but for me, I bank at US Bank, and I used to work at US Bank. And the reason I still bank there isn't because they're the world's greatest bank, is because they're the world's most conservative bank, and probably the world's most trustworthy bank. So in any case, when they told me I couldn't trust my bank, I was like, hey, wait a minute. So I went to the bank, and of course I found out I could trust my bank, and I was being scammed, and I had to go to Best Buy and have the Geek Squad remove the bot on my computer, so I was safe again, and change my bank accounts and all that jazz. Well, this summer, while I was out of town, unfortunately, my mom got hit with the same scam, and she, you know, she's my mom, and doesn't necessarily have the same experiences that I have, and is more trusting of people. And she believed that the threat was real, and so she did invest some money into this Bitcoin and got scammed out of thousands of dollars. And this is a real life problem. You know, I don't know if anyone's seen the movie The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. I don't know if I said his name right, but anyways, he's awesome, and it's an awesome movie, and in it they talk about these scams where they infect your computer with the virus and they steal your money, and of course he goes and slaughters them all. But thankfully, I wish in real life our government would do something about it, but the fact is they're not. You know, we went to the police, we went through all the proper authorities, and there really isn't anything our government's doing right now to protect us from these people. And they're preying on the innocent and the elderly. And so to everyone that sees this podcast, you know, be aware of this. Tell your parents, tell your uncles and your aunts, your grandparents. Let them know that if they get a message on their computer saying they're infected and they need to call Microsoft, that what they really need to do is go to a professional like Best Buy, Geek Squad, or whatever, and get their computer unhacked. Don't call that number and don't fall into that trap. And I have over 30 years sales experience. I can smell a lie a mile away, and they almost fooled me. And my mom is no dummy. She's a pretty sharp lady, and she got bamboozled as well. So be careful. These guys are real pros. I mean, they transfer you to the FDC, where the FDC tells you that your bank is being dishonest and compromised, and that you need to move money so they can catch the criminals. You know, so they're very convincing. So just be aware of that. Be aware that it's real, and also be aware of the fact that our government is doing absolutely nothing about it. Okay, and we're willing to send hundreds of billions overseas to fight other people's problems, but we can't even protect our own citizens from simple internet scams, and that is upsetting to me. I mean, we can run around in masks, breaking down people's doors, invading people's homes, and that's legal, I guess. Why not spend some of that money on your internet security for our nation and put an end to these scammers? I mean, you trying to tell me that our CIA couldn't put an end to this super easy? I bet they could, but I don't think they care.
I think the Chinese just executed like 30 people for scamming.
Really?
Chinese, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Ming family.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean,
Yeah.
Execution is a little harsh, but
execution.
but still, I mean, the fact that the Chinese government's penalizing these people is good. Why doesn't our government do something about it? We're trying to solve everyone else's problem.
I'm okay with them executing you if you scam me.
Ramsey, calm down, buddy. I know you're the angry Muslim, but for God's sakes, this show is about bringing people together, okay? I mean, that's our goal, right? Is to bring people together. Speaking of which, I'm going to skip ahead to point number 4 real quick before we get into our topics. Last podcast, I talked about how the relationship between God and money, okay? And what I meant to say is money, I think of money as like the anti-God. It's neither good nor evil, all right? And then God is God, right? And we live in a world where the anti-God and God are just moving apart slowly but surely, further and further apart. And we're not doing anything to bring those two things back together. And based on my vision, if these two things get too far apart, well, then let's just say we're not going to make it. Okay? So we all need to do our part to help each other, which is why I led off with the public service message about these internet scams. We all need to learn to accept our differences and learn to help each other so that we can become together when our time of need happens and survive. Okay? So, I would like to mention a video that a friend of mine sent to me. It was a speech that Trump made at the end of August, and in it he claimed that he ended 7 wars. So my question to you fellas is, how many of these wars that Trump ended can you name? Poobah, let's start with you.
Well, Trump ending wars, huh? Is that the topic, Diddy?
That is the question. How many wars did Trump end? How many can you name of the wars that Trump ended?
Well, I was actually thinking about it, and I came up with some wars that Trump ended.
Okay.
And so let's see. Trump ended the war on deporting illegal immigrants. We're not doing that. So he ended the war on deporting illegal immigrants.
Okay.
Trump also ended the war on exposing the Epstein client list. We're not doing that either.
Yeah, you're right.
That war's been ended.
He did end the war on exposing the Epstein client list. I got to give you that. That's one. The first one I'm debating.
I was thinking about this. I was like, I have a couple more. He's also ended the war on exposing our own government's collusion and involvement in the murders of JFK, RFK, and MLK. We're not doing that either. We're not learning anything about that. He ended the war on that.
Okay. All right.
And he also ended the war on government waste and by dissolving DOGE and not implementing any of the efforts that were talked about and disclosed in government waste and abuse and fraud. So he ended the war on exposing government waste as well. Now, I'm a guy who voted for President Trump 3 times, and I believe he won all 3 times. And I would vote for him again.
Okay.
But these are the only wars I could find that he's ended. Disappointing.
So those are things you would consider wars?
According to Trump.
The use of our podcast tonight, yes.
Okay, all right. So I'll go with that. That's a great answer, Poobah. What do you think, Ramsey? Can you name any of the wars that Trump ended?
I don't know. Maybe he prevented something in India, somewhere in Kashmir, probably between the Hindus and the Muslims.
Hmm, that's an interesting thought. Okay, so me personally, when I heard this, I was baffled. I could not name a single war. So I Googled it. And so when you Google it, you'll see that there's an Instagram post from the State Department detailing the 7 wars that Trump ended. And then there's another post from the State Department on a different service, I forget which one it was, that said something similar. So then, this is the one I gravitated to. This is from CNN World. It says, checking in on the 7 unendable wars Trump did, in parentheses, not end. And it basically says that, here, I'll just read this real quick. U.S. President Donald Trump all but nominated himself for the Nobel Peace Prize on Tuesday, claiming in his address to the United Nations that he has ended 7 unendable wars, which were raging with countless thousands of people being killed. I ended 7 wars, and in all cases they were raging with countless thousands of people being killed. This includes Cambodia, Thailand, Kosovo, and Serbia, the Congo, and Rwanda. A vicious, violent war that has Pakistan and India and Israel and Iran and Egypt and Ethiopia and Armenia and Azerbaijan, Trump said in his remarks. The 2 conflicts that Trump has so far put the most efforts into ending, Israel's war in Gaza and Russia's war on Ukraine, continue to rage with no signs of easing, despite the myriads of deadlines, threats, and promises he's made to get ceasefire agreements. But the failure to get a deal in the Middle East and the Ukraine has not stopped Trump from boasting about conflicts he said he ended. So, normally I don't trust the press in the United States at all, any farther than I can throw them. But this one kind of seems legit. I mean, it's on the CNN website, and it basically says Trump's folded. And I got to tell you, Poobah, I did vote for him once in 2016, and then when I saw all the racists come out of the woodwork, I couldn't, in good conscience, vote Trump anymore. But this is one thing I want to point out about this speech that I saw. What I saw was a man who was trying to sell fear to the American public, okay? And that's how he got elected, is by selling fear. I mean, that's what this man does, is he sells fear. Now, he's our president, and I support him because he's our president, but at the same time, I've been in sales my whole life. Ramsey's been in sales his whole life. Poobah's been in sales his whole life. I mean, listen, we've been trained our whole life to see through the BS and know when people aren't playing it straight with us, okay? And just like I knew for a fact when President Clinton got up before the 92 election and says, I will not raise taxes, I knew he was lying. And I knew he was trying to sell the American public on the idea that he wouldn't raise taxes. And the first thing he did when he got in office 6 months later was raise taxes. So Biddy was right. He lied. Okay?
Biddy, did you believe it when he said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman?
Well, that's a good one, Poobah. All I can say about that is thanks to President Clinton, blowjobs are no longer sex. So you can feel free to have as many blowjobs as you want because you're not violating any covenants between your whatever. Blowjobs aren't sex, right? I mean, we proved that back in the 90s. So that's all I got to say about that. But I do take umbrage with the fact that Trump is just selling fear, and that the American public is just eating into it and buying into it. That to me is scary. It's scary enough that we got armed people with badges and masks running around, terrorizing our population. It's bad enough that we're using all the taxpayer money to solve everyone else's problems instead of our own. I mean, it's bad enough that our government is completely corrupt and owned by big money, and they're not even trying to hide it anymore. I mean, they got rid of all the antitrust laws. They lobby our congressmen, and then when our congressmen retire, they go get paid millions to become lobbyists to try to corrupt the new congressmen. I mean, it's just it's a sad system that's based on corruption, and hopefully someday there'll be somebody that steps forward and puts an end to it, because I'm sick of it. I don't know. How about you, Ramsey?
Well, welcome to the new America, I guess.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, where it's cool to be a bigot, I guess, and it's cool to be a bully, I guess, and it's cool to sell fear. And Trump's not the first president to sell fear, okay? But I'm offended by that, okay? Let's talk about the last election. I mean, if the Democrats hadn't have been so adamant about trying to make sex changes paid with taxpayer money, they might have gotten elected. I mean, if I remember the commercials from that election, and all I saw was tons of fear, 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 selling fear. Oh, you can't vote Democrat because then your tax money is going to go to these transsexual sex changes. And you know, when I was watching all this, I had this crazy idea. Like, there's such a simple solution. I mean, we bring in immigrants from all over the world, refugees, okay, and we let them live in our country, and they don't have to pay taxes. Okay, they get a tax exemption for X amount of time so they can get acclimated to our country and create a living for themselves and not be a burden on the taxpayer. But we don't make them pay taxes, okay? So why can't we do that for our own citizens? Like, if rather than use taxpayer money to pay for a transgender operation, why not allow them to use their own money and get like a tax exemption for 5-10 years or whatever it takes to give them the time to pay for their own medical procedure, and then it wouldn't be a burden on the American taxpayer, and it wouldn't be completely socially irresponsible in the eyes of the far left, okay? I mean, it's to me, it's kind of a healthy compromise. It's one that I think people should think about, and I'd like to hear your feedback on it. Please send your emails to nomorebohica@gmail.com and let us know
Danny,
what you think. Let's hear it.
I've got feedback on that, Diddy.
Okay.
I think the transgender surgery should be handled like boob jobs. You gotta be 18, you gotta pay for them yourself, or you gotta find a rich guy to pay for it for you.
Well, I can't argue with that logic, Poobah. That was pretty sound. It should be like boob jobs, but it's become it's a little bit different because a boob job is technically completely elective, whereas I think there's a decent argument.
I think they're identical.
You know, I respect your opinion, but I also respect the opinions of the camp that says that the people that gravitate towards those things generally it's part of who they are. Getting bigger boobs isn't necessarily part of who you are on the inside. You know, it affects your outside for sure.
But that's like a voluntary surgery, though. We shouldn't have to pay for it.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. And I agree that we shouldn't have to pay for it. And all I did was throw out a compromise between the left and the right. Since I'm not on either side, and I'm stuck in the middle here getting pummeled by both you. I mean...
We love you, Gare.
I mean, if I went to the hospital and I said that I wanted to become a mannequin and I wanted them to amputate 2 arms and 1 leg, would they just do that?
Well, if you paid them enough money, Ramsey, they'd probably do whatever you wanted them to do. I mean, let's face it, this is America.
Or would I get treatment, psychiatric treatment? That's the question. I think these people need psychiatric treatment.
Well, that could be true. I think a lot of people do. I know I do. So, but anyways, let's move on. What was the next topic on our list here? Let's take a look here. Oh, right. We got an email from Steve in Minnesota. And this is what he says. Hi, Gary. My question is, what is your opinion on possible causation, and what steps do you think both our elected representatives and researchers could do to explore this deeper as a means/direction of prevention and treatment? And this is a question about autism. I look forward to your reply, Steve. Okay, that's a loaded question. Two things. First, I Googled it, of course. So let me tell you what the internet says, all right? And this is kind of the generic description you're going to get from your medical doctors and people that just really probably don't understand the issue all that well, so I'm just going to read it to you. It says causes. Autism spectrum disorder has no single known cause. Since the condition is complex and symptoms and severity vary, there could be many causes. Both genetics and the environment may play a role. Genetics. Several genes seem to be involved in autism spectrum disorder. For some children, autism spectrum disorder can be related to a genetic condition such as Rett syndrome or Fragile X syndrome. For other children, genetic changes, also known as mutations, may raise the risk of autism spectrum disorder. Still, other genes may affect the way that the brain develops or brain cells communicate, or those genes may affect how severe symptoms are. While some genetic changes seem to be inherited, others aren't. Environmental factors. Researchers are exploring whether factors such as viral infections, medicines, complications during pregnancy, or air pollutants play a role in causing autism spectrum disorder. So I read that and I was like, okay, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I've been hearing the same stuff for well over 20 years. My daughter's 22 now. So anyways, if you don't mind, I'm going to follow your advice, Poobah, and read what I wrote in my book about this, and then let's talk about it, okay? So in the second chapter of Messages of Love, it says, let's switch gears and talk about autism. Many parents the world over have become anti-vaccination because some scientists and doctors have linked the two. The pharmaceutical companies have sent out a litany of doctors to help them prove that the vaccines are not responsible. The message I have heard from most people I have met who are educated on the issue is that it is the actual preservatives that the vaccines are stored in that are the real problem. And we kind of touched on that last episode. To their credit, pharmaceutical companies have been silently developing better preservatives to store their vaccines and combat the problem. The problem of autism is a giant, huge problem that is facing the world today. Prior to the dawn of the pharmaceutical age, the autism rate was 1 in 4,000 babies. The day my autistic daughter Madeline was born, the autism rate had climbed to 1 in 151 babies. 10 years later, when I gave a rousing speech at the City Council meeting for Colorado Springs, the autism rate had climbed to 1 in 101 babies. The latest research shows that in 2023, when I wrote my book, the autism rate in the babies has increased to 1 in 36 babies. Yikes. This will not stand. We need to rise up as voters and demand some answers. I could offer up a suggestion that the autism rate has risen in conjunction with the proliferation of psych drugs in our society. But what good would that do? I have no proof, it's just a guess. The prevailing wisdom nowadays is that one of the causes of autism is that when the gene that allows an overabundance of white brain cells exists in the DNA of both parents, the likelihood and severity of autism increases. We are also told that our methods of detecting autism have improved greatly, and these are the things driving this percentage of autistic babies up. Well, how about the dramatic change in how we use pharmaceuticals over the last 64 years? How about the preservatives we use in our food? The pesticides we use on crops? Possibly other mitigating factors that haven't been discussed yet. I don't claim to be a chemical engineer or genetic scientist or understand the doctoral science behind everything, but I am very darn good at math. And quite frankly, the numbers simply do not add up. As an American citizen, I feel like I'm being bullied. I'm being bullied by my own government that refuses to tackle the issue with full force and ensure the future of our children. I'm being bullied by doctors who claim that obvious causes have nothing to do with the problem. I'm being bullied by the pharmaceutical companies, the FDA, and any other organization or lobbyist that continues to feed us false information or deflect the truth to protect their profits. I'm being bullied and I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm asking every American to write their congressman and ask them to take action. This is an issue that affects all Americans, and we owe it to our children, the children of our future, to stand up together and say, we've had enough. It is time for our government to take this issue more seriously. It is time to put an end to the suffering of our children. It is time for those who have held secrets in the name of their profits to share their knowledge and better educate future parents about the risks associated with the changing world we live in. It's time. So, there you have it. What I had to say is drastically different than what I read on the internet. What do you fellas think?
I don't know, is this an international problem?
Yeah, it's
Is
a
it
worldwide
one-
problem.
What is the rate in China?
I have no idea. The autism rate, I don't know if that's worldwide or just the United States. I'm
That's
gonna
US.
guess that it's just the United States.
Sounds like an American rate.
But since there are multiple causes, okay, like I'll give you a good one. And I'm going to extrapolate this into all these damn shootings, these school shootings, these crazy Walmart, McDonald's, churches, abortion clinics, you name it. I mean, okay, abortion clinics have been getting shot up the whole time, all right? But all these other places weren't getting shot up until we started the proliferation of psych drugs in our society. Till we started putting our kids on Ritalin and shit when they're 12 and 14 years old, and knowing full well that the brain isn't fully formed until we're 25 years old. So I think it's a fallacy to pretend that the pharmaceutical companies shouldn't take some responsibility for what's going on. I mean, 1 in 4,000 to 1 in 36. Look, even if you really suck at math, you can understand those numbers, right? I mean, seriously, think about it. Our politicians do nothing about it. They passed that law in 1986 that made all the pharmaceutical companies not responsible for their mistakes. They can't be held accountable for the damages that they do. And but does that mean that they should be totally not held responsible for this problem that isn't just a United States problem, it's a worldwide problem? Okay.
Eddie, I've got a thought.
Let's hear
Or
it.
a comment. I have heard that there is zero autism in the Amish community.
Really?
That's what I've heard. I didn't go there and knock on their doors and ask anybody.
It's because they're all
Or
autistic.
pull their horse and buggy over and start taking a poll. But I've heard that there is zero, less than zero, in the Amish community. I think they're the only ones who got this all figured out, anyways.
Wow. So let's get this straight. I mean, the Amish, they don't eat the kind of foods we eat. They eat natural foods with no
They grow their own
preservatives.
food.
They grow their own food.
They don't do any vaccinations.
They don't do any vaccinations.
They live by themselves.
Yeah, they live kind of apart from everybody. Yeah.
They're not on the internet. I doubt if they take psych drugs.
I don't think the internet. But you're right. I doubt they take any strike drugs, and certainly not while they're pregnant. And that's a whole other issue. I mean, if you're pregnant and you're on psych drugs, you need to look in the mirror if your kid is born autistic. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. Okay.
Absolutely. But your rant on the autism thing was very well done. Very impressed.
Thanks.
And you hit every nail on the head there. But I was thinking, I've heard that the Amish, there is next to none in their community across the country, so that's interesting. And I just thought I'd throw that out there, because I don't know what all the other countries are, but I've heard that about our Amish community.
So with the Amish community, one could say that maybe their autism rate is 1 in 4,000, possibly.
I would say less, but who knows? But maybe one of our many fans and listeners can call in or send us an email and tell us what the rate is.
Yeah, if anybody has information on what the autism rate is in the Amish community, I'd love to know. And I'm gonna research that myself, Kuba, for the next episode. That is a great comment, and I truly believe that we still have a long way to go on the autism issue. I mean, even today, in 2025, the internet is completely vague, and no one is taking any accountability or any action to solve this problem, okay? And that is why we as citizens need to stand up and have our voices heard. There are tens of millions of parents in this nation of autistic children just like me, who are probably equally frustrated, okay, with the lack of action by our government on this issue. And the fact that the issue keeps compounding and becoming worse and exponentially worse year by year. And we're just turning a blind eye to it as if it doesn't exist. And so what are we gonna do? Wait until half the babies are autistic? 1 in 2, is that what we're gonna wait for, that ratio? I mean, because that's where we're headed, folks. That's where we're headed. We've gone from 1 in 4,000 in 1960 to 1 in 36 in 2023. And who knows what it is today? Probably worse than 1 in 36, I bet. But the bottom line is until the taxpayers start complaining to their politicians and until some noise is made, nothing is going to happen, nothing is going to change, and the babies that are born in our country are at serious risk. So I'd like to hear what other people have to say about it, because I'm willing to bet that there's plenty of things that we missed that could be affecting it, okay? I mean, last time we talked about the preservatives in the vaccinations, and no one that I know that's really in tune with this issue is running around saying that the vaccinations cause autism. They would tell you that the preservatives that the vaccinations are stored in are the same ingredients that are used to make formaldehyde, which is how we store dead people, right? I mean, what else do we use formaldehyde for besides storing dead people? Does anybody know?
Nope.
Well, we use it to preserve our vaccinations. That's what we use it for. So think about that.
I mean, they have to know better. That's ridiculous.
Well, the thing is it's all about the Benjamins.
Which brings us another question.
I mean, it's all about the money.
Should know better, and they're doing it anyway.
Yeah, they know better.
And we can call our congressmen and write them all the letters they want, but as long as pharma's writing them big fat checks, those letters are going to go right in the trash can.
Yeah, I guess as long as they're paying their lobbyist salaries and giving them all the under the table
That's
business.
what it's become.
We're yeah. I mean, our government is so corrupt, it's ridiculous.
It's the American thing to do now.
One other point I feel like I should make. Your favorite president, President Trump?
Yes.
He's the only one that I can think of that has even tried to tackle this, or to bring it up and talk about it, and put RFK Jr. in charge of in his cabinet, and he's shining a big light on it right now and scolding the pharmaceutical companies and threatening them. So your favorite president is the only one I can think of that has done anything.
You know what? My favorite. I don't know if I have a favorite, Poobah.
I know, but you're ripping on our boy. So
Well, listen. You're right. Okay, I am kind of ripping on him a little bit, but at the same time,
I was too. I named all the wars he didn't end.
all I'm doing is calling out the BS, and I don't like the fact that he's trying to sell us fear. Look, I'm not buying, Mr. President. I'm not buying your fear, okay? And I'm suggesting to everybody that listens to this podcast not to buy his fear either, because, you know, I'm kind of sick of that. You know, and I think both sides do it. All right, both sides sell fear. It's just Trump is better at it. He's a better salesman. He's a way better salesman than any Democrat that's run against him.
Well, he's got a lot of help.
He does.
He has people around him to help
I
him.
mean, you know who else was an awesome salesman was President Clinton. And President Obama was an awesome salesman. I mean,
You know what they all have in common?
besides being an awesome salesman?
Besides being awesome salesmen, is they had the number one trait that every awesome salesman has.
Let's hear it.
Tell them what they want to hear.
Tell them what they want to hear, no doubt. Tell them what they want to hear, tell them what you said, and then tell them why you said it. You know, listen, I don't hate President Trump. I don't like the bigotry. Okay, I can't deal with the bigotry. It rubs me raw in my soul. It's like sandpaper in my soul. It drives me nuts. You know, and if he wasn't a bigot, I'd probably be a lot more supportive of him. But you know, this whole, I mean, he showed his true colors when he said that the Commanders needed to change their name back to the Redskins. I mean, my God, that was.
I mean, I agree, but I mean, that's ridiculous. He even stuck his toe in the water.
Yeah, and this whole ICE thing, I mean, my God. You want to broadcast to the world that you're a bigot, then join ICE. Put on a mask, run around with a gun, and terrorize people. I mean, why not just dress them up like the Ku Klux Klan? Okay? They wear masks, right? Only everybody knows who they are, right? There'd be less mystery about it, less confusion between normal cops that probably care about people and these other ones that are.
Well, 200 years ago, nobody
Doing what
would have
they do.
complained about ICE.
200 years ago? Why? Why is that?
All your immigrants would have wanted out anyways.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I'm right here, send me back.
No, you mean more like 250 years ago. 200 years ago, we were doing pretty good.
Donald Trump could have been compared with Abraham Lincoln for abolishing slavery. Because he would have banned immigration. You
Right. Oh, that was a good one. So, did you hear that, Puba?
Yeah, well done.
It, yeah, you know.
Abolish slavery for us.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm not here to bash President Trump, but I am here to call him out on his BS, and I am here to call what it is. I mean, he's selling fear, right? I don't know how else to say it, and I'm not buying the fear. So, anything else we want to say about Trump, or should we move on to the Middle East?
Out of the frying pan into the fire, let's go.
Out of the frying pan into the fire. Let's do it. How are we sitting for time, sweetie?
37.
Okay. All right. So, I have a friend. I have a lot of very conservative Christian friends. Okay. And ultra conservative. And one of them sent me a very wonderful post that she put on Facebook named Debbie. She's a very sweet woman, dear friend. And I'm not here to pick on Debbie. I thought it was very informative. It's very West perspective, and I get that because we live in the West. So there's two things that I want to discuss. One is she brings up the stakes, the two-state versus one-state caliphate, and the two-state solution imagines Israel and a Palestinian state side by side. Many radical factions reject compromise and pursue maximist goals, a single Islamic state or caliphate, which makes negotiated peace extremely difficult. This is not just a territorial dispute, it's an ideological and spiritual dispute as well. So her comments were very well thought out and very well written. And Ramsey, you're the expert on Israel. What do you think about developing a two-state system and the fact that it's never happened? And what's your opinion on all that?
So Israel is a dream for the neo-colonials. So Israel is the last colonial state, and the West wishes to colonize the third world again. The West truly wishes to go back to 1963, rewind the clock, take back India, take back Africa. That's what the West wants to do. Now, what has happened is your children watching sports, see a white guy running up, hugging and kissing a black guy for scoring a touchdown. I mean, 60 years ago, that was unimaginable. You see the same thing in soccer. So there's lines that the new generation has crossed. I think people need to be classified in classes, because classifying people by race.
First of all, I'm thankful that the white guys are hugging the black guys after touchdowns. It's the way it should be, worldwide. So
yeah, but you got to remember too. You got Pete Hegseth, your defense secretary, went out there and said that we can't be winos about ingrown hair, knowing very well that 70% of African Americans have a problem with ingrown hair and shaving close. So He wants to get all African Americans out of the army. That's where Hegseth went with this one.
Wow.
It was undercover. No excuse. You have to shave clean. So it's no longer a medical excuse to have ingrown hair to where, you could have and then you'll be discharged. If you can't, you'll be given a year exemption and then you get discharged if your medical condition is not treatable.
So when did facial hair have anything to do with the military?
You come and tell me. Everybody in ICE has a Duck Dynasty beard, but now you want the soldiers to be clean shaven. That's what he said. And everybody knew that, it's statistically known, you're targeting one community. You're targeting the black soldiers. They're the ones with the issue, with the dermatological issue of shaving.
Right.
So he went there. So we're about division. And that's the problem with the country. I was thinking about it today. We're proud of diversity, but from diversity comes division, and that's exactly what we're targeting. What they're trying to divide us. It's like you hear people saying civil war. Okay, civil war. Who are you going to go after? Who are you going to go chase? Are you going to chase the Muslims? The Muslims that drink and smoke in America? Which Muslims are you going to chase? Who are you going to chase? You're going to chase after the Hispanics? The people that wrap the tortillas and make the fries for us at McDonald's? Who are you going after? The landscaper? See, that's the whole thing. You hear all this commotion about wanting to start a civil war, want to make some big change. Guys, it's the lobbyists. The corporation owns the president. It's out there. 250 senators went to Israel on a paid-for trip.
We only have 100 senators.
Senators and public officials, basically.
Okay.
250 Congress, public officials.
250 Americans that are employed by our government went on a...
Yeah, that work in government positions. Went on a trip to Israel.
Okay.
Would it have been okay if they went on a trip to China?
I don't see why not.
Well, so that's what you got. You got a government that's, there's a foreign policy that's being dictated, and we're...
So back to the two-state thing versus a single state. How do you feel about that?
No, there is no two-state. It's a colonial state.
Okay.
Israel is not giving up that power.
Right. So that was my perception of it as
Israel's not giving up power. Israel, what has happened in Israel over the last few years is Israel has become radicalized. They were never this radicalized. Right now you have radicalization to where you have Netanyahu talking about Greater Israel. Greater Israel is like Trump talking about Greater America and showing a map that includes Canada, Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Brazil, and Chile. And everybody is going to wonder how he dreamt that up. But of course everybody has to get their armies ready, especially if he's ready to go with Greater Israel. Because that's what Greater Israel is showing. He's got carved out a piece of Egypt. He's got Syria taken in. He's got Jordan in it. He's got Iraq in it. So, the question is, they're looking to put a puppet government in Gaza now. So some colonial master named Tony Blair will be the governor of Gaza.
Tony Blair, isn't he like a sales guru?
No, Tony Blair is the guy that took us, sales guru, he took us to Iraq. Sales guru. He's the one that took us to Iraq.
Hey, Poobah.
So...
Technical difficulties.
Some technical difficulties.
That same Tony Blair is going to be the governor of the new Gaza governorate.
All right.
From Great Britain?
Yeah.
Tony Blair? That's ridiculous.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's another Lawrence of Arabia. So they're basically looking to divide up Arabia. This horse is ready for quartering.
So I got another question for you. I was watching John Oliver the other night, and he was talking about Gaza. And I gotta admit, the press on what's going on in Gaza has become very unfavorable now towards Israelis, which I'm finally thankful for. It only took them 2 years to start telling.
Well, that's because your spectators are delusional.
Yes, I know.
The people watching you are delusional now.
But to the point. You made me lose my point. Um, okay, so scratch that.
Talking about how the news changed.
Oh, right. I mean, now I was watching CNN while working out yesterday, and they had a guy on there, a reporter. This is the first time I've seen this on a major network. And he said, you know, the Israeli response on October 8th, 2023 was appropriate. But when they became inappropriate, started on October 9th, 2023, and the 10th and the 11th, and every day since, where they've gone in killing innocent civilians, okay? And I'm like, why did it take 2 years for you to get on there and say something, you dingbat? No disrespect. Well, actually, a lot of disrespect to you, sir. I mean, for God's sakes, it took you 2 years to come out of hiding and finally say something truthful about what's going on? Please. Please. How about apologizing to the American public for lying to us for 2 years and withholding information?
No, it's very simple. We all sold our souls. Everybody wants to keep their job. Everybody found out that the power of the Israel lobby is very powerful. You cannot go against them.
It also coexists with my theory
You
that
can't.
there's more people on planet Earth that worship money
Right.
than there are that worship God. And that
Right.
is a real problem worldwide with humanity. Okay, let's face it.
You got to remember where you live. Again, my history, just so everybody knows, you know, I did come from. I do have a long, extensive history with apartheid, so I know what apartheid is, and
Yeah.
that's what they're pushing for here.
Ramsey grew up in South Africa before he moved to Israel. And
Both apartheid. So I've had both sides of apartheid. I've seen it from being on the good side of it and then being on the other side of the border. So
and he won't admit it, but we both have PTSD. Me probably way worse, but let's face it.
my life is still traumatic. His is post-traumatic. Mine continues to be traumatic.
You're still full of drama, huh?
Still traumatic.
All right. So, you know, I'm encouraged by the fact that there's at least some peace talks and stuff. But I want to talk about what I heard on John Oliver, which I thought was really enlightening. He was talking about the two ultra-conservative people in the Israeli government that Netanyahu teamed up with to get reelected. And the ones pushing this, I don't know what the right word he uses, ethnic cleansing. Yeah,
it's an ethnic cleansing.
I mean, that's kind of what it is. And so this guy's talking about it, and he's all excited about all the demolition going on. And he's like, the demolition phase is almost over, and now we're going to go into the rebuild phase, and we're going to make a lot of money, you know. And he's trying to sell the Israeli people on how the developers are going to make a lot of money, and they're going to revamp this area. And it's like, well, what was wrong with the area to begin with, number one? And number two, this has clearly been a land grab the whole time. And when this first started a couple of years ago, Ramsey said to me, he says, oh, they want to move everybody out of there so they can build casinos and build a new resort town. And I'm starting to believe in what Ramsey said to me 2 years ago, okay? Because now when you see the news, it supports everything he said.
Something you have to understand, okay? There's two media here. There's the media that our friends in the Middle East like to show the American public, and then there is the non-scripted, I don't want to call it German, but if you speak Hebrew, there is no filters on the news in Israel. Let's put it like that. The news in Israel is clear, the goals are clear, the ideology is clear, and where they're taking this is very, very clear. It's not sugar-coated in Israel. The dangerous thing now here is that the Israelis are the investment bankers of the United States, and their gamble on Gaza has gone for broke. Our future is based on bonds that were sold in Gaza. So the success of Gaza, the success of Gaza's real estate, them finding oil, natural gas in Gaza, they went for broke. They have to come out of Gaza with something. See, in Syria, we went into Syria and
I heard they got a lot of natural gas in Gaza.
yeah, but we have to access it. So we've gone for broke. If the Palestinians don't let us, you see, Trump sent a letter to Hamas the other day begging Hamas to surrender. Who are we kidding? It's bad for us. We were begging Hamas to surrender. Please let us get to the business part of the deal. So and the whole strategy has been like that. You know, Iran is going to be the same way. This is an economic battle. Iran sent 1,000 drones to Israel. Each drone cost maybe $40 off of Temu, but it required a $30,000 rocket to drop it. Yes, it's an economic battle. Their people are dispensable. The Arabs are dispensable. One Arab is not worth, 1,000 Arabs
People are not dispensable.
No, in Israel there's a calculation. You have to understand there's a calculation.
Yeah, the calculus.
Yeah, 1,000 Arabs for one Jew, that's the eye for an eye. One Jew is worth 1,000 Arabs. So if 1,000 people died during October 7, Israel's going to kill 1 million. And I bet you they've killed about 1 million. Right now they're saying it's 67,000, but they just stopped counting.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't jive with some of the reports that I've.
There's no two stones standing on each other in Gaza. There's no two stones standing on each other in Gaza. They've dropped so many bombs in Gaza that their numbers are probably somewhere around 700,000 dead. People are missing in Gaza. When you go missing in Gaza, it means you're no longer alive. Because you cannot exit Gaza. You're not allowed to swim out of Gaza.
Where would they be if they're missing?
In the tunnels, hiding.
Under the rubble? Or
buried in the tunnels.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. All right, so we're almost out of time.
Before we run out of time, Billy, I got a question for Ramsey.
Let's hear it.
Wow. I did not know all that detail about your background, and I learned something new about the haircutting thing. I had no clue. But so tell me, what is your take? Why do you think the American government, it just seems to be American government and big business, is standing with Israel?
So the main problem comes down to a collaboration between intelligence agencies. So I think there's you take a look at Tulsi Gabbard. She's disappeared. She didn't fall in line with the program. So you got to remember that there's people funding the government. There's somebody writing the check. Donald Trump is getting his check from somebody. And that same person, those people, they own Israel. Israel is an outlet. Israel is an outlet for American corruption, for stealing. It's safe enough. It's like the Federal Reserve. What's the Federal Reserve? It's a fortress. And that's basically what Israel is. You could put your money in Israel, and your money is going to be safe in Israel. The IRS is not going to chase Donald Trump's money in Israel. So, you're talking about donations. We send $3 billion yearly to Israel. Israel sends back maybe $300 million every year to pay off Congress and the president. And we're okay with it because everybody has a Jewish banker. So you're not like going out of the system. The money gets transferred from Tel Aviv to New York. There's no Chinese in the middle. So Israel and the United States are two married countries. Israel runs the banking for the United States, and I think the problem becomes a problem of efficiency. The communist model, where the communist regime uses their people as slaves, has led them to be more successful than us. And so our leadership, I think, is in the point where they need to use us as slaves.
So Ramsey, what you just described, then the only Americans that are making out on this deal are politicians and rich people.
Yeah, exactly. The people who have a ticket to the Ark.
Big money.
Interesting.
Yeah, Israel is the capital. If you get to visit Israel, you're visiting the capital.
So we need to wrap up here. I got one more thing I want to say. That was awesome, Ramsey. And we're looking for feedback. So we'd like to hear what you have to say about it. If you have anything that you want to offer to to anything that Ramsey said or Poobah said or I said today, please send an email to nomorebohica@gmail.com. And we would love to read your email and talk about it on our show. So one last thing I want to end with, I'll end on kind of a happy note. I saw a bumper sticker the other day. It said, Jesus is God. So this is a question I have for both you guys. Is Jesus God or is God God? Because I'm a Christian, right? And I worship Jesus, but I worship God. I mean, Jesus is the Son of God. This is the way we worship him. God is God. And Jesus is the
I'll
Son.
make it really easy for you.
Let's hear it, Ramsey.
All the arguments I've ever heard was about this nonsense called I am. First of all, we don't have I am in our language. The I am is an English thing. We have I. We don't have I am. So when you have to translate it, and you have to understand the language itself. So when they said that Jesus is a son of God, we all say we're children of God.
We are.
And then you have the Christians that went one extreme step. And now they had to involve taking down your pants, and they use the word begotten.
Okay. Stop.
When you say begotten goes a little bit more.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
We're not looking for a long debate here. I respect what you said.
He's never said he's God. Jesus has never claimed
Yeah, Jesus
he's
never
God.
said that.
He's
okay?
never claimed it.
Sure he did.
Where?
He didn't say he was God.
Where did he claim it? Where did he say, I'm God, worship me?
Most Christians believe that God put himself in human flesh and came down and lived
Okay.
on earth.
So here's
The man Jesus.
here's the difference, and this is what I wanted to illustrate. I got myself here a copy of the Quran. We're going to talk about more of this later. I got it for free at the Los Angeles Book Fair. And I spent about an hour talking to a Muslim, and gave me the book. Really nice fella. And he said to me something that I've heard from many of my Christian friends that are on the far right. Okay, and what he said is that your God is different than our God. And I looked at him and I said, well, why is that? And he says, well, you pray to three gods and we pray to one. And I'm like, no, we don't. We pray to one God, but he manifests himself in the Holy Trinity as the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, right? But that's one God, okay? And I'm a Christian here, and I'm here to tell you that God is God. Jesus is Jesus, and as a Christian, I believe he's the Son of God. And I also believe in the Holy Spirit, so I do believe in the Holy Trinity. But that doesn't mean I believe in more than one God. There's only one God, okay? And we need to be clear about this between Christians and Muslims, right? We're all praying to the same God.
So here's my understanding of it.
We're praying
okay?
to the same God.
So you didn't let me finish. So the word I am, so when they asked Jesus about his creation, Jesus said he was a word. Jesus' whole creation by God was the word be. Basically be being come into existence. God commanded Jesus into existence, and Jesus came into existence. God did not need some DNA to mix up into Mary. And that's the miracle of Jesus. Mary had him without male intervention. There was no intervention, the same way that Adam was created without any intervention. Eve was created from Adam. How come Jesus cannot be just created from Mary? Why is it impossible for Jesus to be created from Mary? Just to appear in her womb on his own.
Well, I guess we're not exactly sure how that all went down, but I believe that the common understanding amongst Christians is that God put himself in human flesh and came and lived and walked on earth with us.
And got killed by the Israelis, right?
And let himself get killed, murdered, brutally, hung on a cross to...
Listen, we as human beings have shot the messenger for more than 2,000 years. We always shoot the messenger. That's what we do. 90% of the time, we shoot the messenger. Because
and he's taking our punishment for us because we're all miserable sinners.
right, we're all linear thinkers. We're all linear thinkers that are trained to be linear thinkers from birth. But we're running out of time, folks, so let me just say thank you for listening. And just remember, together we stand, divided we fall. And that's the secret to life. We need to learn to respect our differences. We need to learn to come together. So please send us your feedback, and please have a wonderful day. God bless.